All right, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just found a new starter. If you're new to the channel, we're Detroit Lions fans, but we have this channel covering teams and stories the national media just pays no attention to. And I think it's a really important thing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to find this starter. And I'm talking about Zion McCollum, your new corner. So he played a little bit last year. He's a 5th-round pick that basically, I don't want to say it came out of nowhere, but I mean, he kind of did, right? He went to Sam Houston State, tore it up there, and was like a really good player. But it's Sam Houston State. I don't know. But he's 6'2", 200. So he's physical. He's big. He can kind of play the type of physical football that the Buccaneers play. And he was taken in the 5th-round, pick 157. And so with the trade of Carlton Davis to the Detroit Lions, it's like we kind of need somebody here. So what you're able to do is trade Carlton Davis for a 3rd-round pick. Beautiful. He's in the last year of his deal, so you're able to kind of get rid of that. Don't have to pay Carlton Davis. So it works both ways. Detroit Lions are happy. They get a really good starting corner. But you're like, all right, it's time to move on to McCollum, and somebody what we think is really good. So if you look at it, there's been a lot of talk about him, and there's an article put out, 3 potential breakout players for the Buccaneers, and McCollum is right there, first one talked about. Let's go to it right now. Zion McCollum, he possesses a tantalizing combination of physical attributes and athleticism. I'll pull the article up. But playing the cornerback position level is hard, really hard, and young corners generally need a few reps before proper evaluation. So he had a learning curve that was really steep because he was at Sam Houston State, didn't really face this level of competition, obviously. But here it is. He was behind Jameel Dean, which Jameel Dean's still there, good, and Carlton Davis. Carlton Davis was traded. Now it's McCollum's time. And the reality is that 2024 will make or break season for McCollum. If he's unable to adjust to the challenges of playing on the outside, it will be glaringly obvious. With limited depth at the position, which speaks to the team's confidence in his abilities. I think that's a big part. They believe it, right? They traded off of a starter, and they know that he's the next guy in line. And so they know, based on practice and what they're seeing, potential, he can be the guy. So this is big if you're a Buccaneers fan. It's got to be right, because if you look at the roster, if he's good, you've got Antoine Winfield Jr., boom, Whitehead, Jameel Dean. So this secondary is feeling pretty good. Linebackers feel pretty good. Can see what he can do a year or two. We've got, there's things defensively where you were just strong. I mean, playoff team strong on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, feel good about that. We'll get to the running backs here in just a second. But I just feel good about that. And by the way, let me know in the comments, how did you become a Buccaneers fan? Was it, just would love to know that. We've been asking all the different franchises how you became a fan, just born into it. Was there a favorite player that kind of got you towards it? Was it the Creamsicles? I mean, what was it? Tampa Bay. Love it. Okay. So we kind of looked at that. There's been some other articles about just kind of some Reddit stuff, but so it's kind of take it with a grain of salt. But there's a lot of debate, questions, discussions around McCollum because he feels like a critical piece. If he's really good, the Bucs defense could be good. If he's really bad, could be an exposed area that's like, oh shoot, we miss Carlton Davis. But everything signs pointing from OTAs and minicamp that he's going to be just fine. And he's got the size, speed. He's a physical corner that's just going to be perfectly fine. Now, another thing that I thought was interesting is PFF put out kind of running back group rankings. So they put Tampa Bay at 20. But I thought what they said was interesting. I think if you're a Tampa Bay fan, you're pretty excited about this. Rachaad White quietly generated the 8th best PFF wins above average figure among running backs. Though his yards per carry was below 4, he had almost 1,000 yards and 500 yards plus receiving as an all-purpose back. So just a solid all-purpose back. But then they go get Bucky Irving in the 4th round. Similar skill set. But you've added an extra guy to take the load off of White. Bucky Irving is this kind of exciting guy. So they say I'm bullish on this young running back duo in 2024. And I think I totally agree, because you go back to the depth chart. I mean, first of all, Baker Mayfield, it starts and ends there, and we all get that. I mean, if he plays well, consistent, then the Bucs have a chance, and they're going to do what they did last year and be in the playoffs, and let's go, right? But if he's, he falls off or whatever, then it's like, doesn't even matter. All this discussion doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter who you have at running back if Baker Mayfield doesn't play well. So just assuming like he kind of keeps up what he did last year, fine. But then you've got a kind of a two-headed little bit of a monster here, right? At running back, I love that. Wide receiver, solid as ever. Tight end, good. Offensive line, good. So Ben Bredesen, Michigan guy, it's really good. So offensively, very solid. Defensively, it's all there. So the reason I bring that up is because I think the Buccaneers are being definitely overlooked by the national media, but just kind of by everybody, because it's the Baker Mayfield effect. Just sorry, it is. But what I mean by that is Baker Mayfield just doesn't get the love, and he's kind of overlooked. And it's like, oh yeah, they don't want to take him serious. Yet he just kind of sticks around and produces. And so Baker Mayfield's a good player, and one that like nobody talks about him enough. And he's a perfect player for a franchise, because you see it right now. All these quarterbacks, Jared Goff, Trevor Lawrence, each one's just resetting the market up and up and up. But Baker Mayfield kind of makes middle of the pack. It's like, nice. You've got a starting quarterback that's not making $50 million a year, but instead making 30. That's so much more manageable for your franchise to have an extra $25 million to work with and to maneuver and have. Is just like, you know what? Fine. We'll take our chances with Baker Mayfield and an extra $25 million for this year, for the following years, to work things, to just maneuver and have that flexibility. Because if he puts us in the playoffs with an opportunity, I mean, come on. I mean, even in the playoffs against the Lions, they were fighting uphill against the Lions the whole game, but at the same time, they were in that game on the road. They were in it, and the Lions just were humming that night, and it was just very difficult. And you got Jahmyr Gibbs, and the whole thing was just, it was tough. But my point is, they're in the playoffs on the road against Detroit and hanging with them, Baker Mayfield. I mean, every time the Lions go up a couple scores, Baker Mayfield right down the field. It's like, what is this? What is going on? So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know how you became a Tampa Bay Bucs fan. And man, excited to see what they do this year. So let me know your thoughts, and we'll see all of you on the next one.